Got it. And are you ready for me to count down?
I am.
Let's do it. Three, two, one, starting.
Hi, my name is Jennie Grau with Grau Interpersonal Communication, and this is my colleague.
I am Drey Taylor. I'm a professional in the field service industry.
And today we're here with our fourth recording in celebration of International Day of Listening, which is going to be celebrated this year on September 19th, 2019, with the theme of Be Bold, Listen for Common Ground. And this is an event sponsored by the International Listening Association. So this is our fourth video. The first one we talked about what we have in common. That was kind of fun. The second one we kind of did some exploration of the concept of challenge and whether we had any common ground around that and maybe how we saw challenge similarly and differently. And then we did a conversation where we continued to look for common ground around environmental issues. And in this last conversation, we're going to try to do a little bit of focus on one of the most challenging environmental issues facing our planet, the idea of global warming. So Drey, let's see where we go with this one.
I'm curious to see where this goes. And why not start with what I suspect is maybe an unpopular opinion or a frowned upon opinion that I hold that the Earth, just looking at it from a scientific point of view, right? All things seem to have life cycles, including our sun, right? Which is eventually going to blow up and kill us all.
Yep.
So that's a problem for hopefully another day, a few billion years, I think. So we're good for now, but now more pressingly, we're looking at not our solar system, but our planet. And our planet has gone through some different cycles as well, cooling, heating, and I am not convinced that global warming is 100% human created. That there's also elements of natural life cycle ebbs and flows of our planet that are impacting this as well. I don't think that a lot of people want to hear that because they want to put blame on people and want to kind of point the finger sometimes at the quote unquote other, if you will. That being said, I also do believe that humans are absolutely contributors, but I don't know that I've seen or read anything that has convinced me to the point to where that we are, the evil in the world that is notching everything up degree by degree by degree. That it's not some mixture of both a scientific cycle of the planet and us as well, right? So that's kind of my controversial stance on global warming. What about you?
So I just want to check that I've got this accurately. So it sounds like you believe that global warming is happening or climate change is happening.
Definitely.
So you're not debating that, but you have some uncertainty about how much of it is attributed to the natural ebb and flow of things that has been going on for millennia on this planet versus the part that human beings contribute to the problem of climate change.
Absolutely. So I think that it's a multifaceted problem that we're experiencing. And it seems for some reason that we're ignoring the non-human contribution to this. And I suspect, although I don't know or have any evidence, I'm not a scientist and I don't play one on TV, but I suspect that it could very easily end up being that as we become more intelligent and our understanding of this grows and we start to attack this problem, that we could go, turns out that we only contributed this small, somewhat insignificant percent, and the rest of it actually has to do with some other geologic factors that are beyond our control. That it actually has to do with the planet's ebbs and flows itself.
Of its own environmental kind of, cycles.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, I think I do have a different opinion. I do recognize that we've had ice ages and now we don't have an ice age. And so, I don't necessarily think human beings caused the ice age or stopped it from happening. So I guess to that degree, or to that extent, I agree with you that there are independent factors at times taking place. By the same token, though, I think that humanity has a significant contributing factor at this moment in time. And what I mean by that is not just like the kinds of vehicles we've built that burn fossil fuels or the way we power our grid, which has a great deal to do with coal and natural gas at this point, which contributes to greenhouse gases and warming of the earth, or the ozone disappearing. I think setting aside those particular behaviors and thinking about the fact that we're now in a cycle of things like more earthquakes and volcanic eruptions and tsunamis and flooding and storm extremities of swings of temperature, it occurs to me that we may no longer be the significant cause or a significant cause, but we are now part of having set off a set of environmental events that are now adding to that. Like I was talking to someone recently. We hosted someone from Indonesia for dinner recently. We were talking about the volcanic eruption at Krakatoa that changed the degrees of the earth, the temperature of the earth for I think 3 days.
Yeah.
Because of the volcanic ash that went into the air. And that may have been exactly what you're talking about, a completely naturally occurring, non-human contributed eruption of the earth. But if we have more and more volcanic eruptions, or if we have more and more flooding, then some of the things that we're going to have to do to mitigate flooding or to respond to flooding or to deal with the ash that goes into the air, those things will cause planes to be grounded and change the way we interact with the environment. And our responses to that could theoretically increase global warming or things that affect global warming. So at this point, I think that our actions have caused some of this. The environment may add more to it. And our responses to that become another factor in how this plays out.
So looking at this topic of global warming, we maybe disagree on exactly what the contributing factors are. Regardless, we still have agreement that there is a problem.
We do, and we also, I think, would agree that we cannot directly control the environmental forces that might further affect the planet. We can't stop a volcano from erupting. We can't necessarily clean up the island of floating. Well, actually, maybe we could clean up the island. I don't know. What do you think?
I think that as we become more sophisticated as human peoples, that our ability to manipulate our environment will continue to expand, because I feel like that's what we've been doing since we started this whole human thing X millennia ago, is we're learning ways to manipulate our environment, and it's become more and more sophisticated. It started off with fire and it's progressed and progressed until you have a wheel and then a car and then planes. And so we're finding ways to manipulate our environments, so much so that I now find myself in a cozy home with this climate control in an area that is currently 101 degrees outside.
Wow.
So with that said, I feel that our ability to respond is only going to improve in sophistication over time. So I don't know. I think that we can eventually find ways to mitigate this. And the problem, though, it feels that given the controversial nature, it seems to come back to this philosophical ideas of whether our actions are right or wrong, whether or not it's acceptable, or if you're in the right to fly on an airplane, right? Because that's a contributor to ozone degradation, or whether or not it's okay for someone to eat meat, because there are studies that are trying to tie eating meat to ozone degradation and impact on the climate. What are the things that are acceptable for humans to do, and what are things that are not acceptable for humans to do? It seems that that's where the rubber meets the road in actually trying to solve this problem. What say you to that?
Well, you said a lot. I do think that the things that we have created over time have shaped the way the planet looks. I mean, just go to space and look down on the globe and see the light patterns that are, lit up all over the place. We've changed the way that looks, and we've changed the surface of a great deal of the planet. And I do think that it's that same response to challenge, this new challenge, that gives us the opportunity to see if we can fix it, or at least de-accelerate it.
Yeah.
I was reading about a company that is just gone public that is creating artificial meat it's just not grown in a cow, it's grown in a laboratory.
Wow.
And according to the news commentary on it, it tastes great. The burger is amazing. And so I know a lot of times when it comes to environmental issues, people often respond by, you can't tell me how to live, you can't tell me what to do, you can't tell me not to travel by air. But maybe what we can do is use our capacity to understand our behaviors and figure out ways through, let's just say, computer technology like this, that you and I don't have to go on a plane to see each other. Michigan and Texas can have a conversation through the internet. Maybe we can collaborate and provide more experiences for people that reduce the amount of fossil fuels consumed. And maybe our discoveries around solar and wind power will get to a point, and hydraulic power, will get to a point where we can produce electricity in numbers and amounts that is affordable and clean. And so whether it's in terms of our diet or our recycling and how we use our waste products, or our technology that helps us connect and collaborate and commute, perhaps we could be at a point where we change the effects that we've had on the planet. And although it won't be easy, it may well be what's necessary as we hope to survive for another few more millennia.
Definitely. It sounds like the factor that is most important in what you just described might be awareness. And if someone doesn't have an awareness that this new meat product exists, or the impact of traditional meat products, or flying by air, or recycling, if there's not an awareness.
Oh, sorry. Hang on.
Problem.
I thought I got you all the different quieting noises quieted, but I didn't.
Oh, no worries.
You were saying you thought it was about awareness.
Yeah, and if that awareness isn't there, then there's not a catalyst to change behavior.
Yeah, so it starts with understanding both our own behavior and impact on the environment, and on what could be different.
I think so.
Okay. Well, that brings us in at a controversial topic: speaking and listening, seeing where we agree, trying to do some problem solving, all under 15 minutes.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. So I encourage people to give it a try. It was an interesting experience to get to try to wrestle with something that frequently people don't talk about. And if they do, they speak about it in such a polarized way that they don't really create much understanding. I think you and I have agreed that awareness is important, that it's not a simple solution, that it's not all humankind, and that it's not necessarily just an environmental phase. Maybe people who know a lot more than we do could have fun taking this a little further. I encourage you to celebrate International Day of Listening, September 19th, 2019, and see what kind of listening you can do for common ground. Thanks, Drey.
Thanks, Jenny.